Yeah, price action on Luna hasn't been the greatest in terms of how their altcoins are doing. So I think what's been going on with Twitter lately is we're getting a lot of the lunatic community who's used to talk about Luna and the altcoins. All of a sudden, they're talking a lot about KDA, Credo, Flux, whatever that is, or it's alt season, alts are popping, everything's moving 40, 30, 20, 10% in a given day. And people are looking for reasons to get excited. And if you look at the price action of altcoins, I mean, Luna broke $50, right? That's a huge, huge, huge thing. And I think for a lot of people, it's a little anticlimactic just because it did it in such a methodical kind of way. Like, this is Luna's price action over the past couple of days. And we're used to Luna being hyper volatile up, hyper volatile down. It goes sideways and it stays like sideways. So it's in those three forms oftentimes. Sideways, parabolic up, sideways, parabolic down, sideways, parabolic up. And then it started doing this weird thing here where it's just like highly volatile up and down, but net crawling upwards. So as it just kind of followed that kind of line there, next thing you know, we're sitting at $50. It's fantastic. I think a lot of people were probably waiting for the dip, or they were accumulating, or they were just holding, or they were hoping to look at altcoins. And that's where the story gets a little worse because over the past month, 3 months, altcoins within the Luna ecosystem, they've been launching. But the price action has been hit or miss. So I want to do a quick rundown of some of the popular Terra alts. And I want to talk about how the price has been, what are some of the key factors that are impacting the current price, and what can we expect in terms of price action, news, updates, things to get excited about going forward. So why don't we just start in order? Let's start with Anchor first. Anchor Protocol is our borrowing and lending platform on Terra. It is a behemoth. Almost all of the awesome ideas that have come from Luna by other developers have come because of Anchor and what its value proposition is. Its value proposition is that it's Stripe for savings. You put in money, you get out 20% yield. You put in UST, you get out 20% yield. If you have assets like Ethereum or Luna, you can deposit it and you can borrow cash against that collateral. And you can even get paid to borrow, and that number to get paid with was very high. And now that the protocol has been so quote unquote successful, you still get paid to borrow, but you get paid a fraction of a percent to borrow. So how's Anchor doing? Well, how's Anchor price action doing? We can start there. $3.43 is the current Anchor price action. We can look at the daily chart and we can see that that's ugly. I mean, you can categorize most launches of protocols on Terra to have usually something has gone wrong with the launches. And what it's led to is maybe a spike in the beginning and then a prolonged period of just not doing that well. And in general, Terra projects, they also have highly inflationary, aggressive tokenomics for when it comes to LP incentives, staking rewards. Or in Anchor's case, they don't have inflationary staking rewards. They do have some inflationary LP rewards, but where they really have the inflation is for the borrower incentive. So whenever someone's borrowing money on Anchor, they're depositing their collateral, and they're also getting paid to borrow through inflation. So the more they borrow, the more Anchor tokens they earn as inflation. So what people did in the beginning is, there was some hype and hysteria around the March timeframe, right? They launched around March, and then there was a crazy botted launch. One person made out with like $2.5 million because they botted the launch, and people were just aping into it, and everyone got wrecked. And then it went down, and it found a medium around $4, and then this was right when everything was really, really hot. So Anchor was just following that trend, and Terra was really starting to take off around that time. And the peak the peak of that recovery after like the craziness was around $6. And then the big crash happened. And people were trying to survive. And one way to survive was to borrow against their Luna to accumulate anchor. And then with that anchor, they were dumping it to buy more Luna. So you can see this was just like a pure dump. You don't see charts like this unless it's for a reason. Farming tokens look like this. And then after a while, Luna started recovering. Luna went above $10. The dumping of Luna lessened and price started to recover, but it really hasn't broken this channel. I mean, it's been trying to get past $4. It's been trying to get past $3.50, but you can see that it's currently at the upper range of this channel. So will it break out? If you look on Twitter and you look at people who are anchor holders and anchor influencers, and you look at the founder, Matt, everyone is saying that anchor is highly underestimated. Everyone is saying that anchor is going to melt faces and make people feel bad about not holding any or selling it. So is that true? Is that what's going to happen? Well, we can see the market cap, $500,000 going up to almost $600 million in the near future. You can see that there's lots of inflation with Anchor. As Anchor's TVL increases, its total value locked is now at $5.7 billion. You can see $2 billion is deposited in Anchor Earn, and Anchor is paying them 20% yield on that, compounding every block. The yield reserve is doing okay, so Anchor is actually, it's working. Anchor is working. The users that are borrowing are paying for the interest that's generated. So that's working. But the whole thing, like the reason why these borrowers in large part are buying, I'm not saying it's the only reason, but it's a huge reason. It's because you can borrow for free. Before you used to get paid to borrow, but you can still basically borrow for free. Net, you get paid half a percentage. And as this line, this black line here goes up, this is the total borrow. You can see it gradually going up. That means more Anchor inflation is occurring, I believe. And collateral value continues to rise as prices rise. But even with all this TVL, it hasn't really impacted Anchor's price in past this kind of sell point, this resistance, this place where people keep dumping the price. And if you watch shows like Crypto Banter, you watch what Ran says. He loves Terra. Loves Terra. And what he talks about is, okay, you have Luna. Luna's gone to $50. You need some Luna, but you should also look at Luna alts. You should look at the alts because the alts are what go up when the entire ecosystem is doing well. So he's like, look at Anchor. And maybe he mentioned Mirror, maybe he mentioned a few others. I don't think he knows much about the ecosystem actually, besides Luna being amazing. But I look at that advice and I think, I don't know actually. Like when it's Harmony, I notice if Harmony goes up 10%, all of Harmony's altcoins go up 20 to 70%. When Luna goes up 10%, I mean, there's really no correlation at all with the altcoins on Luna. Luna is like this all-encompassing God apex asset where it's just so, like the tokenomics are so good that when you're inside the Luna ecosystem, a part of you just wants to continue accumulating Luna or accumulating USD in order to eventually buy a dip on Luna. A lot of the other projects have high inflation and they're easy to farm, easy to dump. And a big part of what we've been trying to figure out with teams and what teams are trying to do as well is improve that tokenomics, improve the reasons for people to keep holding tokens. One of the great things that Anchor has going for it now is actually not anything that they did, but Nexus protocol, which is a protocol that is integrated with Anchor. And instead of like depositing your collateral here and then borrowing that collateral and then borrowing that UST and then depositing it on Earn and making getting paid to borrow for free and then depositing over here to earn 20% on your borrowed money, instead of doing all that and monitoring your LTV, Nexus just does it all for you for free. And what they do with their token is they farm this UST, and they farm this Anchor, and they dump it and they convert it into their Psi token, and then they pay you that as rewards. So if you put it into one of their vaults, if you put like B Luna, B ETH into one of these vaults, it converts it, it does the whole thing on the fly, and then you accrue rewards, 8%, 8.42%. So you get it that way. And you know, it's great for Nexus. It's great for Psi users. And it's not that great for Anchor because Anchor is just getting kind of farmed and dumped on, right? So in order to balance that equation, what Nexus ended up doing is they're generously airdropping any Anchor stakers with weekly airdrops of Psi. So if you're an Anchor holder and you want to stake, then you get 5.5% APR. Okay. You get Anchor airdrops for the next few weeks, several weeks. Okay. But now probably the apex thing that you get is the Nexus Psi airdrops. And why I say that's apex is because Psi has been performing very well, even though it also has high inflation and, you know, a few other things that plague the tokenomics and the value accrual. It does have great value accrual. It's had a fantastic launch. And I think when people farm these tokens, it's more valuable for them to keep it because they can continue providing LP with their existing. A lot of people already have Luna. A lot of people already have BETH. What they don't have is a lot of Psi. So as they farm it, they can add more to their LP. They can add it to their staking, and they can just continue stacking it, which is what I'm doing. So how's Anchor going to do over the next, few weeks, few months? It is a bull season. Everything has gone absolutely nuts. And Anchor, essentially from its lows of 1.74, it's a little more than doubled. It's a little more than doubled, okay? And that's not great in a bull market. And there's a lot of new partnerships coming out. There's an Arrington TFL partnership where Arrington is helping institutions onto Anchor Earn. They're going to increase the total value locked of Anchor Earn. And these institutions are going to burn a lot of Luna, and it's going to create a lot of demand for UST. And those are all good things. And I would love to say that because institutions are coming on board, they want to have a say in the governance of Anchor. So they're going to want to buy Anchor tokens in order to have decisions on how they're on changes to the protocol that may or may not impact their money. That's the wishful thinking. I don't know if that'll actually happen. We'll see. That's one bull case for Anchor. Another bull case is that Psi continues to do well on Nexus and more people want to farm Psi tokens. So they do that by stacking Anchor. Maybe. I think that's a few too many steps for some people. Sure. We'll see. Another reason, another way, if this borrow collateral somehow ends up going higher, maybe through a temporary market crash, maybe it increases the interest to borrow and stack Anchor again. And maybe when people do stack Anchor, instead of dumping it, they will start staking it instead to accumulate those Psi tokens. Who knows? Those are some ideas. There's also lots of ideas going on about like bridging AUST over to Ethereum and creating LP pairs of that with other ETH stablecoins like USDC and USDT. And you'd pick AUST versus just regular UST because AUST has an interest-bearing element to it. So if you hold AUST in your wallet, it's going to compound in value over time because it's technically gaining 20% APY a year. So Hyperion, founder of Prism, he's got the idea, he's like, all of this functionality was there, but he's kind of putting together the pieces of how AUST is such a powerful weapon for Terra to kind of expand into different ecosystems. And AUST comes from Anchor. So there's lots of little new ideas coming out for Anchor. There's the MIM AUST collaboration where you can lever up your borrow, you can turn, instead of earning 20%, you can earn 90% if you do some loops through Abracadabra and Anchor. So these are all new, more use cases for Anchor. And Matt, who is the general manager for Anchor, he's been talking about partnerships, lots of people coming to him. We talked about the institutions with Arrington, but also what's going on with Credo. Credo is kind of like a institutional layer 1 or layer 2 chain that deals with like non-custodial trading, and they just started integrating with UST on their platform, and Matt's kind of been tweeting about them, and he said the tweets were not, just out of charity. There's actually something coming between the collaboration. So all these things are potentially going somewhere. Now, am I a holder of any ANK tokens at the moment? No, I'm not. Might I become a holder of any ANK tokens at the moment? I want to see more, I think. I just want to see more traction on the charts, really. I want to see ANK really break out of some of this resistance here. I mean, where it's at right now is basically, it's been rejected here a couple times. People keep dumping it back to the channel, but what we do see is the channel's rising, right? Channel's rising. Got a couple breaks here. Maybe it comes back up here. Maybe it starts to retest. Maybe things start to move. There's a lot of protocols, lots of opportunity out there. So in order for Anchor to get my investment, a lot of things and news and the team with the progressions, all these things need to start moving forward. So I was supposed to cover all the protocols in this video, but of course I rambled on way longer about this topic. So I'm going to leave this as just an Anchor video, and I'll pick up with some more videos on the latest news and what's happening. Maybe even today, but latest tomorrow. Thanks a lot.